In this video, let's understand what is Indian Councils Act 1861 and Indian Councils Act 1892. To begin with, Government of India Act was made in the year 1858 after revolt of 1857. What was the issue? Why Indian Councils Act 1861 was made? The first and major reason, the Queen was ruling India from thousands of miles away. Queen is sitting at Britain and she is ruling India, which is 1000 miles away. She doesn't know what ordinary Indians need and what are the ground problems that are present in India to frame laws and policies. So, what she thought? She thought to include Indians into the law-making process. For this major reason, Indian Councils Act 1861 was legislated. Let's understand the key features one by one. The first one, association of Indians with law-making process. It made a beginning of representative institutions in India. It provided that Viceroy should nominate some Indians as non-official members. Now, if there are non-official members, there are also official members. In the Legislative Council, there are two types of members, official members and non-official members. These official members work for British government or Britain government. These non-official members doesn't work for Britain government. That is the difference between official and non-official members. And also, they cannot vote on decisions. They cannot discuss the budget. In 1862, Lord Canning, the then Viceroy, nominated the following three Indians to his Legislative Council. They are Raja of Benares, Maharaja of Patiala, Sir Dinkar Rao. These are the three members who were added into Legislative Council as a non-official members. Second key feature of Indian Councils Act is restoration of legislative powers to the presidencies. Now tell me, in previous videos, we discussed something regarding centralization of legislative powers. You need to tell me in which act centralization took place. Now, what is this centralization? We discussed then. For example, there is Presidency of Bombay and Madras and head as Bengal. The Governor General of India then acted as a legislative head, meaning they could frame the laws and propose them to Governor General of India. Then Governor General of India would have reviewed them. Either he accepted them or rejected them as a whole. That is centralization of legislative powers meaning the laws and policies of Bombay cannot be made by Governor of Bombay. It was Governor General of India who could decide that. The same way is with Madras. Thus, it reversed the centralizing tendency that started. The dash was kept intentionally for you to comment in which act the centralization took place. Pause the video, comment your answers below. The policy of legislative devolution resulted in the grant of almost complete internal autonomy to provinces in 1937. Meaning, decentralization started in the year 1861. The internal autonomy means to take decisions internally was granted to all the provinces by the year 1937. In the later videos, we'll understand how. The third important key feature is establishment of new legislative councils. This Act of 1861 empowered to establish new legislative councils for Bengal, Northwest provinces and Punjab. They were actually established in the year 1862 at Bengal, and in Northwest provinces it was established in the year 1886. In Punjab it was in the year 1897. The legislative councils were established. Recognition of portfolio system. To understand it in a simple way, let's take the modern example. In the year 2024, BJP won the elections and they were having more than 100 MPs with them. If India is facing the problem of potholes on the road between the stretch of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, who could solve this problem? It was not these 100 MPs who are involved to solve that problem. there is a certain Ministry of Road and Transport Network which take care of a new road or covering those potholes between two states. Understood? The same way, there are other things to take care of, such as finance, defense, law and order. Same way, how Indian government is being worked right now. It is having roots to Indian Councils Act of 1861, where portfolio system was created. Let's understand. It recognized portfolio system introduced by Lord Canning in the year 1859. Under this system, a member of Viceroy's Council was made in charge of one or more government departments and was authorized to issue final orders on behalf of the council on matters of his department, meaning Ministry of Road and Transport. Below this ministry, there are some ground workers who checks about the road conditions, right? The same way, this report of ground workers is being submitted to the minister. For example, Nitin Gadkari. That report, which was submitted by the ground workers, will be submitted to Parliament and discussed upon. Right? The same is with every ministry. These lines are even saying the same. The member in Viceroy's Council, he was made head for different departments, one or more. What is his work? He need to collect the reports which was made by the workers below him. That is all about portfolio system. Next thing, it expanded Viceroy's Council for legislative purposes. Earlier we discussed they added Indians into Legislative Council as a non-official members. The strength should be not less than 6, and not more than 12. The strength should be in between 6 and 12. In this strength, let's say if there were 10 members in the council, in these 10 members, 5 members at any cost should be official members. We know what does official and non-official means, right? Next important feature is ordinance making one, where the President of India still have ordinance making power. You need to comment under which article President is having ordinance making power. Pause the video and comment your answers. Talking about ordinance making power of Viceroy, what it is? This Act of 1861 gave power to Viceroy to issue ordinances when Legislative Council was not in session and at the time of emergency. It empowered the Viceroy to issue ordinances without the concurrence of Legislative Council during an emergency. At the time of emergency, he does not need to contact Legislative Council to take decision whether he need to implement it or not. He can do it on his own. That is ordinance making power. If he made any ordinance during an emergency, that ordinance would last for 6 months from the date of issuing. That is all about Indian Councils Act 1861. Next important act is Indian Councils Act 1892. To begin with, this Indian Councils Act of 1892, it provided that non-official members to be increased even more. Earlier, they should be not less than 6 and not more than 12. Now, in this Act of 1892, it was said that they should be not less than 10 and not more than 16. These non-official members both at central legislative councils and also provincial legislative councils. And next important feature of this Indian Councils Act is it increased the functions of Legislative Council. It gave power to discuss on budget. However, they were not allowed to vote on the budget and the members can ask the questions to executive. Not all the questions, only questions pertaining to public matters. And according to the Rules of Councils Act of 1892, it is also mandatory that before asking a question, the members would require to send a prior notice of 6 days. Then they are allowed to ask a question to executive on public matters. That is the second important feature. And third important feature of this act is it started the concept of indirect election. Though the word election term has not been mentioned in the Act 1892, but the idea is same, where non-official members of Central Legislative Council to be nominated by Viceroy on the recommendations of Provincial Legislative Councils plus Bengal Chamber of Commerce, BCC, Bengal Chamber of Commerce. On the recommendations of these two bodies, Viceroy can nominate members to Central Legislative Council. The same way, in the Provincial Legislative Councils, Governor can nominate members only on the recommendations of, first thing, universities, trade associations, by the Provincial Legislative Councils, and also by the municipalities. By taking the recommendations of these bodies, the governors can nominate non-official members to provincial legislative councils. This is all about Legislative Council 1892. Thank you.